focus on Angola. You know, I'm trying to explain how political parties have influenced the democracy in Angola. I joined the project because I think that we can change ideas. We can change idea and we can work together, understanding deeply Africa and help to develop. So I don't know if I don't make myself understand.
We understand you. We understand you, and we get your
okay. Thanks so much. I am a university professor at Academy of Social Science and Technology, and my work is on comparative politics. I've been teaching comparative politics in my university. And, I appreciate too much to join the project in order to how can I say, to see how can we solve some problem that we are facing or that we will face on post-COVID era. For instance, we are facing trouble in financing projects, for instance, also in some methodology and technical problem that we can also improve each other. As I said, my English is not fine. That's why I can speak also in English in Portuguese. We are in Angola and we are very, very, very proud to join the project. I myself, André Caputo Menezes, and Gabriel Benguera is also on, and he is also a PhD researcher at University of Lisbon, even though he works in another issue. But what we really want is to join the project and to know how we can help. This is for my first introduction. This is everything I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andre. And we're happy to have you. And we have translators and also people in case we have difficulty later on. So we have the multi-linguistic context. So we have Jonas on what I have on the screen here. Please, I just saw that, and please, can you introduce yourself to briefly and your research and your what you think about the network and.
Hello.
Hi, Jonas.
Hi. I'm
It's me, Gabriel Benguela. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Yes. No, I'm speak very bad English. I'm Dr. Jonas Charles Ndeke. I'm an assistant professor at Marengwabi University in Congo Brazzaville.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think Mukile Kasongo, if he's here already, I think you can, if you are comfortable with French, we can speak in French and he can do the translation. So if you're comfortable, because we know that as African researchers, the linguistic platform differs. So that's why we have also put that in place. I think he's having problem with his connectivity, but as the event goes on, we'll do some translations, which will make that comfortable for other people who are not Anglophone. So we also have next on the screen, Dr. Nathaniel Babajide. Briefly introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Babajide. I am currently a lecturer in renewable energy economics, policy, and technology at the University of Dundee. I was part of the founding members of DAN, which is a Dundee Africa Research Network. It's a pleasure to be in your midst, and I look forward to a fruitful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next is Mukile Kasongo. And I think, Mukile? Okay. as he's doing that, is we also move to Ali Mohammed. Please briefly introduce yourself and
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
good afternoon.
I'm Ali Mohammed. I'm from University of Birmingham. I'm currently a PhD student doing my electronics engineering, and my research is on microwave technology. Basically, we are designing some sensors that can be utilized in oil and gas sector for liquid characterization and gas identification. So I look forward to get to know some benefit of the network and then trying to find out how we can come up together and benefit the African region as well. It's a pleasure to have you all.
Thank you. And next is Mohammed Saji Yusuf.
Good afternoon all. My name is Sakir. I'm from University of Birmingham, UK. I'm doing my PhD in computer science. I'm interested in how to coordinate multiple robots to work together effectively by minimizing the resources needed. I'm very happy to join you this afternoon. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the co-convener, Mukile Kasongo, in this network have been waving. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, I can hear now.
And he is, as I mentioned before, is both Anglophone and Francophone, and he continues this interaction, and so that we can really we have people already before you enter who are Francophone. And so please continue. We have had Andre Caputo introduce himself, Jonas, Nathaniel, and Mohammed Seji, Ali Mohammed. So I think you can continue with others on the platform. Okay.
Okay, thanks so much. And I do apologize for this. I had some trouble trying to log in. So, and I'm just gonna pick up from where you left. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Mukile Kasongo, one of the conveners, and my research is on translation studies. So currently I'm looking at the translation of African Francophone literature into Russian. So that's what my research is all about. And forgive me if I choose someone who has spoken before, because I can't remember. I can't remember all the names. I'll try. Should I give Gabriel Benguela? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Would you like to introduce yourself and what you do?
Good afternoon, people. My name is Gabriel Benguela. I am a student in Lisbon, Portugal, PhD. I am teacher and research here in Luanda, but I think it's necessary. My English is very bad. I can speak in Russian. Mr. Junior can translate me. I think it's more sorry for me.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You say what you do, so that's we can understand that, and that's great. And I'm sure we will at some point create some profile where we'll have all the information. So I'm going to choose another person. Mohammed Sagir, please.
Yeah, I think. Hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself? Just
yeah, I think I introduced myself already, but I can do it again.
He has done that before.
Okay. So would you maybe just tell me? I'll write down again because I'm using my mobile phone.
Gabriel, Dami Ladipo, Achibong, Kadijat. These are the other members. Sorry about that you were out.
Okay. Achibong, Kadija, and
Dami Ladipo and Gabriel Bagwell.
Okay, thank you. So I'll pass on. I'll ask Kadija, please, to introduce yourself. Kadija, can you hear her? Hello, well, Kadija? Okay, we'll come back to Khadija. So should I ask Dami Ladipo, please?
Hi, I'm Dami. I recently graduated from my master's in international social change and policy from the University of Sheffield. I'm going to be starting my PhD at the University of Cambridge in October. Going to be doing a PhD in education. Specifically, I'll be investigating the impact of coloniality, institutional racism, and colonialism on the education system within the UK. I'm quite interested in the impact of coloniality on nations in Africa. My master's dissertation was on how coloniality impacted Nigeria's human trafficking policy. So these are sort of my research interests. I look forward to connecting with you all in the future.
Okay, that's great, and we'll look forward to work with you together. That's really nice. And also I'll pass the Archie Pond, please. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, please. My name is Achibong. I'm a lecturer in mechanical engineering. I'm mostly based in the Dubai campus of the University of Birmingham. My research interests are in multi-phase flow energy systems and flash drives. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. And Khadija, could you hear us? Can you hear us, Khadija? Khadija? Okay, so I think she can't, maybe there's a problem. So the last person, if
Jim Paris. Jim Paris.
Sorry?
Jim Paris.
Okay, Jim Paris, please.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I'm a PhD research student at UCLan in Preston, and I'm interested in African aesthetics. And I recently, recently completed some research on the state of traditional art and aesthetic practices in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much for that. And I think I just want to say, I think maybe Khadija has got some problem because she's not replying. But I'll just want to add that we can see how in this network we have different people from different we represent different parts of Africa. I think we have Lusophone Africa, like Gabriel, who speaks Portuguese. We have Francophone Africa, that's myself. Hello. And we have, hello. Is it Khadija?
Yeah, Khadija is up, I think.
Okay, Khadija, I'll let you introduce yourself to the rest of the group, please. Hello?
I think it has to do more with Zoom.
Okay. Okay.
So anytime she comes up, she can.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring up later. Yeah, I'll just say that this network is about offering, working together, collaborating. As you can see, we have different people from different regions of Africa, Lusophone, Francophone, Anglophone, and from different countries. And we really try to, we see it as a platform where we can work together to benefit ourselves as well as our own research. So it's really nice to have people, not just here in Europe, but also in Africa. So I think that's given a very good opportunity to have to look at different perspectives. So I'm gonna pass back to Augustine for the who's gonna lead that into the next part, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Kasongo. I will share a screen with us. The network, as I've said at the introductory point, has this website being hosted by Humanity Commons. We don't need to be researchers in the humanities for us to just create a Humanities Common so that you can have your own web page and you can on this particular network, and you can also exhibit your research to a broader audience within the Humanity Commons. And we know that most of the conferences aired online this year, whether in humanities or engineering or social sciences, where they use the platform Humanity Commons. That was why we use this. For today's event, the intention is to get to know each other, as well as to discuss how the pandemic has actually affected our research and what we can do as a network to actually assist one another in this post-pandemic era. So the thing is not like giving a speech, but it's just like open to the floor if anyone is interested in discussing, first of all, starting with how the pandemic has affected your research and fieldwork in general. And that will really be appreciated. And if you want the link for that web page so that we can actually see the rest of the questions so that you can prepare the area you feel your contribution or what you will say will be helpful to members of the network. And we need to say we have also indicated that the recording is not going to be public. It's only for the members of the network. So instead of having a secretary, so even when we have the recording, we only share it among ourselves or share it with a link to only where we can see it as members of the network, so that we can be able to have what we have done and be able to know the progress we are making. So the first question there is, how has the COVID actually affected our research and for those who are doing field work, for those whatever. So anyone, you can indicate by putting your hands up. We just call based on what we see. There is an icon for us to put our hands up, or we can put hands up, or we can just go in straight. There's no real protocol. Okay, Khadijat is having her hands up. I think she wants to introduce herself. And so go ahead, Khadijat.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I had to sign up with a different device because that one was not working. So I'm Khadijat, and I'm third-year PhD student at the University of Birmingham. I'm doing PhD in biomedical engineering, so I'm looking at how we can use something called acoustic emission system to monitor implants in the human body, so that potentially we would reduce people having to take X-rays and CT scans when they have implants on their body, and we can actually diagnose failures of these artificial joints early, and then hopefully can also start diagnosing failures of natural joints like osteoarthritis and low back pain. So that's me. Wow. Thank you.
Thanks, Khadijat. And can you proceed from there to tell us how the COVID, the lockdown has affected your research, since that's what we are on now?
Yeah, actually, it's affected me pretty much a lot, because when it started, I was during that period, I think in March, I had just gone to Australia to do some research, and then the whole thing became really big. I had to come back after 2 weeks, so I've not been able to do that work. I also have research that I've already planned for this period that I'm also not be able to do. So it's just kind of affected me because I am more experimental based. So I can't get into the lab right now to do any sort of work, which has sort of been a bit of an hindrance for me.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And we know that some suggestion will come on the network on how we can cope. Well, any other person that has something to say? For me, the lockdown has actually been a little bit of advantage, because before we started the social distancing, the culture here has a little bit of a social distancing element. So I don't have a direct phone number to my supervisor. So, but during the lockdown, I think it exchanged those things, and we found the real benefit of, you know, all this email and all these things. A lot of people found that it's going to be it needs to be more intimate, to listen to the other, to see the other person. So I would say to a greater extent, that's the kind of advantage that I've found in the lockdown. And there are conferences too that I would never be able to attend for financial reasons, because they are in Canada, in UK, in US, in other parts of the world, and which I was able to also attend. And for the first time, I come realize that that's real advantage to African scholars who are underfunded or have a lot of issues with visas and traveling across the world. The lockdown has actually made us to see the impact of visual technology and how we can beat those barriers. So I think we can proceed with anyone. We have anyone who wants to say something on the lockdown, the benefits and how it has affected our research? Thank you. Okay,
okay. I can say something because my research is it's out of Africa, because I'm going to from French Francophone Africa into Russian. So I'm looking at I'm investigating the cultural exchange, and because I'm going into Russian, I had to go to do some field work in Russia, but that wasn't possible due to lockdown, and it might not be possible because this year or next year, we don't know how this COVID pandemic is going to work out. So I'm second year PhD, so technically I was looking forward to doing it this year, but it might not be possible, and it might affect me because as I know in my field, we have to do that kind of field work to have a solid research. So not doing field work will end up with me maybe, I don't know, graduating with some PhD that can be challenged on that ground. So I'm not sure what I am going to do, but that's just an example of my, in my area. But I'm also curious to know some of you who are working, who have to do maybe field work in Africa, or what else are you experiencing as a challenge?
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you please say that to in French, since you're bilingual? So because we know that that's very important. That's part of the thing that we have to just be a part of our colonial heritage, that we have to be multilinguistic. But if we have people who also have that, so I will appreciate if you can say that in French to the French audience, because we have almost equal audience on board. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you for that. And that's the other point. That's why we're here to explore this perspective. Donc, je disais que ma recherche, comme je vais de l'Afrique francophone vers le russe, je n'ai pas pu aller en Russie pour faire ma recherche. Donc, cela va affecter mon projet de doctorat, parce que peut-être on me dira que puisque tu n'as pas interviewé des chercheurs en Russie, donc la recherche n'est pas très solide. Alors, je suis curieux de savoir si quelqu'un, par exemple Jonas, quelqu'un qui parle français ici, si dans ta recherche, tu as dû avoir des informations de l'Afrique et comment le Covid a affecté ta recherche.
Right. And I don't hear French very well, but I don't know whether you are true.
Yeah, I'll just say what I said in English, how it affected me. And
I think Jonas is smiling already. So Jonas want to come in. And for the sake of those of us who are Anglophone, whatever Jonas will say, I think you will interpret. So Jonas, I think you really want to come in from what is your facial expression. Please come in, Jonas.
Oui, bon, encore bonjour une fois de plus à tous. Bon, je tiens d'abord à apporter quelques éclaircissements. D'abord, Junior a posé deux questions ou deux problématiques. Est-ce que la COVID a affecté les recherches en Afrique? Et puis, d'un autre côté, il a fait état d'un souci à son niveau par rapport aux recherches qu'il est en train de mener, vu qu'il doit couvrir le terrain russe et qu'il a intérêt donc à avoir des entretiens avec des acteurs ou des chercheurs russes, comment il doit s'y prendre dans ce contexte particulier. Si il ne devait pas les faire intervenir, est-ce que cela ne remet pas en cause le fondement même de sa recherche? Bon, je vais commencer d'abord un peu au niveau du premier point sur la recherche en Afrique. Bien évidemment, le coronavirus, la pandémie du coronavirus a affecté fortement les recherches en Afrique. Bon, plusieurs chercheurs sont plus ou moins bloqués parce que, comme l'a dit Junior, ceux qui étaient en train de faire leurs études de terrain, parce que la recherche, elle est basée sur le terrain. Elle est basée sur la collecte des données, elle est basée sur des entretiens et la collecte de ce que l'on appelle la littérature grise. Dans ce contexte de la pandémie où les gens ne pouvaient pas circuler librement et avoir des contacts avec des personnes qu'ils étaient censés interviewer, bien évidemment, leur démarche ou leur démarche qu'ils étaient en train de mener dans le cadre de la collecte des données a connu un effet négatif. Il faut comprendre que pour la plupart d'entre vous, je pense peut-être la majorité, vous exercez depuis l'Europe ici, d'autres exercent. Moi, par exemple, comme je me suis présenté, je viens du Congo-Brazzaville, mais j'ai fait mon doctorat en France, mais je travaille sur le terrain congolais. Donc, je suis censé, toutefois, quand j'ai des articles et autres à écrire, de me référer au terrain congolais, de consulter mes sources au niveau de Brazzaville. Vu le fait que l'Internet aussi, on ne peut pas parler de développer, les gens, ils sont certes connectés, mais il y a des difficultés en termes d'accès, en termes de débit, parce que pour échanger, d'ailleurs, ils ne se connectent pas tout le temps. Donc, ils viennent quand ils ont la possibilité de se payer un forfait pour se connecter. Donc, ça ralentit plus ou moins le rythme de nos travaux. Hein, certains, oui.
Oui, je vais t'arrêter là pour traduire un peu, sinon c'est beaucoup. Laisse-moi.
Okay.
I just had to stop Jonas to kind of give you some of what he said. So he says he, although he's an African-based scholar, but he's doing his PhD in Grenoble in France. So his data collection, although he's not right now in France, he does research on Africa. So the issue is people can't move freely back home in Africa. So that is affecting his research. Also, people can't don't have access to internet, so that's also an issue where you want to speak to people for interviews, to get them over the phone. It's really difficult. So that's how it is affecting his research. So I'll ask him to also to be a little bit short because I know we have time that's running against us. So Jonas, oui, tu peux continuer. Tu peux dire brièvement. Juste à la fin, quoi, parce qu'on a peu de temps. Oui.
D'accord, j'ai compris. Bon, mais donc, en gros, c'est un peu ce que tu venais de traduire. Ça veut dire que le coronavirus arrive à ralentir le rythme d'avancement de nos travaux par le fait qu'on ne peut plus le faire comme on le faisait par le passé. On a des difficultés. Nos correspondants là-bas ont des difficultés d'accès à Internet, ce qui fait qu'on ne peut pas évoluer à un rythme normal. Donc, les travaux connaissent des retards. On a des projets, par exemple, de publication des ouvrages qui ont été reportés ou des dates ont été repoussées parce que les uns et les autres n'ont pas pu collecter les données à temps. Donc, c'est bien cela la difficulté. Bon, maintenant, après, si on s'inscrit dans un contexte d'après ou dans le contexte de la COVID-19, il va falloir se réadapter. Ça veut dire que travailler en fonction du contexte actuel en mettant un accent particulier sur des contacts en ligne, pouvoir travailler directement avec ceux qui ont la possibilité d'être connectés. Ça, c'est ce qui concerne le volet un peu africain. Je ne sais pas si je peux revenir très brièvement pour ton cas particulier. Où,
on m'a dit, je dois te stopper parce que le temps, on a
le temps, d'accord.
Yeah, I had to stop Jonas there. But we will translate what he said and provide to the rest of the network. So just to summarize what he said, that it has overall affected how fast he was working on his projects. So that's the overall idea. I'll pass that back to you, Augustine.
Thank you so much. While we were having the discussion with Jonas, very interesting one, Andre was talking about Portuguese to English, but he said he was going to try English for now. So I think we hand over our microphone to Andre Caputo Menes. Is Andre still on the platform? Andre? Okay. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute.
Now, do you understand, Farinola?
Yes, we are listening to you now.
Okay. As I has already introduced myself, my name is Andre Caputo Menez, and I'm a PhD student at the University of Lisbon. my research is about the party and the election dynamics in the process of democratic nationalization in Angola. And fortunately, I have time to read and to write because I can get some book from digital platforms and so on. But I'm facing too many difficulties. As for instance, I'm now collecting data, and all institutions are closed because I have to make. I want to make interview with the political leaders, party political leaders. I want to make interview to to journalists. I want to make interview to many people, and some of them they don't have access to internet. You know, unfortunately, we still have many people here who don't have access to internet. First, second, because of the lockdown, almost all the institutions are also closed, and I can't go to that institution and to get access to the information that I need to make my project. As I said, I'm facing too many difficulties. I'm trying now to overcome the situation by making sending interview by internet, by email, but unfortunately not so many people has access to internet. And what I'm doing now, I'm now trying to make an how can I say to improve my theoretical perspective and also to try to make some meetings with my PhD supervisor and trying to speak with some classmates from my university and from other university of Lisbon who has also interest in studying political parties in Africa. But I'm facing too many difficulties to collect data.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And from the discussion that we have had among people who have been trying to talk about, most of the participants who have actually said something made reference to the fact that they are doing research outside the country. They are doing research in Paris or in other places. Currently, they are at home, and many people have to actually go home during that period because most people can be inside the hostel. And part of the challenges they are facing is data connection and also the restraints that is actually, which has to be technological, which is actually facing any researcher in Africa. It has to do with Zoom call. Zoom may have a lot of problem. The network may not be there even if you pay for the highest subscription and all this. And I will appreciate we have some senior colleagues too on the network who can actually come in to actually shed some light on this. And I don't know whether Dr. Achibong can actually come in at this point to actually help us with some of this before we round up our discussion and hand over microphone to Dr. Nathaniel to really give us. Dr. Achibong, thank you.
Yeah, I'm with you, Farinola. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Achibong. I'm from Nigeria, and my research is on energy systems and multi-phase flows, essentially fluid flowing in pipes and water. So I've heard what some of you guys have mentioned, and I think that from my perspective, what we could think of doing during this lockdown, hopefully it ends soon, is to redirect our efforts towards things like preparing journal papers, preparing conference papers, so you can use your time effectively in that way. Also, you can look at exploring different ways of looking at your data, the ones you've collected already. So you can look at different perspectives. So if you have a PhD objective and it appears like maybe collecting data might be a problem, existing data could be explored in different directions, but you have to talk to your supervisor anyway. So you could dig deeper with what you have, with the data you have. One other thing you should really, think of is your funding in terms of fees and PhD stipends. I think now is the time for you to talk to your supervisors. What happens if you overstay your PhD duration? Should you be tuition? What happens to your tuition? Will they be waiver? So these are the kind of discussions you should have. And I think that the system is such that at this point it should be really flexible to get a certain should I say certain benefits out of it. So try to just life as we've been given lemons, let's try to make lemonades out of it. So I know it's difficult, it's very taxing, but believe me, it's the same thing for both academics and PhD students. We are struggling with video recordings, lectures, and the rest of the thing. But let's look at it that way and try to focus on preparing journal papers, exploring different dimensions to your research, and then talk to your colleagues. You can't believe the kind of solutions that people have out there. So talk to your colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
I hope that's useful to someone.
Thank you, Dr. Achibong. I think Mukile can help all those of us who are francophone to get to this point.
I just wanted to bring someone who also because he's not Anglophone, but we can. It's Gabriel Benguela. I want to bring him quickly so he can say in Portuguese. In Russian, and I'll translate because we.
Great.
Okay. Just quickly, Gabriel, как COVID подействовал на твое исследование? Только твое предложение, пожалуйста, быстренько скажи.
Мы пишем сейчас. Ты можешь... То есть пишем сейчас, да? И поскольку пишем, конечно, ковид повлиял сильно на это. Я перестал летать в Лиссабоне из-за болезни, как ты знаешь. Из-за этого все закрыто и невозможно там исследовать. Поэтому, думаю, сложно работать сейчас, именно сейчас. И не знаю, поскольку не знаю, как будет потом хронограмма работать, куда дойдем, как это все повлияет и какие сильные влияния будет на работе. А так, думаю, стоим из-за этого, мы стоим.
Okay, спасибо. Basically, what he's saying is currently now he studies in Portugal, but he's right now in Angola, in Rwanda, and the traveling it's really made difficult. He can't travel between Portugal and Rwanda to do his research, and also I see it's getting it's tiring, so it's taking a toll on his moral. So all this is very draining all his energy. So that's the issues. That's how it's being affected. So I'll pass that back to you, Augustine.
Okay, at this point, just to keep to the time, I know that Ali wants to say something, and then we see part of the things that have been translated, because we now find that on this platform, which is actually what could be a kind of what we can say disadvantage to Africa, our African researcher is now an advantage. We have Portuguese, French, Russian, English, and we are struggling with that, and that has actually extended the time, which we have to put in, because to actually call something Africa, this is what we have to consider. But we will continue the conversation after Dr. Nathaniel. It's not like we have actually muted Dr. Nathaniel since, but because he has a flow of 15 minutes to actually say a lot of things about most of all this thing, being a member of the network and also on these network. So this section is actually to be handled by Mukile, and I will appreciate, as he has been doing, that he will help us with the translations to summary of it, so that people will not be bored at some point with Dr. Nat. So I step out.
Okay, thanks very much, Augustine. So we're going to bring to have Dr. Nathaniel. Just is going to talk to us about the kind of network that we have, because he has experience in Dundee, where they also had a similar network, and how it was helpful to them whilst they were PhD students as well as now. So it's gonna be as a talk, So I'll ask Dr. Nathaniel the first question, which is how the network can help researcher to create a platform for presenting and or other things. Please, Dr. Nathaniel.
Yes, once again, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So as in answering the question, there are so many opportunities that can be gotten from this platform that we're talking about. For instance, it's an avenue for you to share experience, ideas, meet people, and also make some reasonable collaborations from different perspectives. For instance, from the number of people we have here, I've listened to their introductions and their area of expertise. I know people from politics, engineering, biomedical sciences. You know, this is a kind of a multidisciplinary research areas that we can come together and then come up with some research output for publication and for other things as well. What I'm saying is that it's an avenue to share ideas. For instance, I have brothers on this platform. I have people from Congo, Brazzaville, from Angola, Nigeria. You know, this, for instance, I don't know what is ongoing in Congo, but I want to do a kind of research on Africa. So it would be good for me to engage somebody from Angola to do a kind of selective approach from key countries in Africa. So that would make the analysis of the project to be much more robust and give a kind of a true representation of reality, rather than living in the world of assumption that, oh, Congo Brazzaville is what the country is all about. But if I have somebody that can give me kind of first-hand information about the country, it will help a lot. So another thing is that it will enable you to at least have a kind of opportunity to develop your skills. So skills in the sense that, okay, I'm working on my methodology as a researcher. My knowledge is more of a quantitative, and I need somebody in politics to look at the policy aspect of my research. So I can discuss my research with that person. Okay, what do you think? What are the reigning or the prevailing policies in your country? So how can I, as in, what are the ones that you think can suit the peculiarities of this particular country you are coming from, rather than making a kind of a one-size-fits-all recommendations, but providing as in policy that are apt or appropriate for selected or for key countries that you are considering in your analysis. So multidisciplinary, I've talked about. Another one is that know each other's research. For instance, from the knowledge you've shared now, I can talk about what people are doing. So with that, I know whenever I reach a particular point in my research that I need this also person. For instance, I listened to Dr. Achibong, sorry if I didn't get the pronunciation right, is into energy systems and pipe something and related. Somebody is in robotics, in oil and gas and all those things. So these are areas that are also similar to my own field, being in renewable energy field. So what I'm saying is these are areas you can collaborate, come together and make a kind of come up with a quality research or research paper in that regard. And also encouraging one another. For instance, we can form a platform where maybe on fortnightly basis or monthly basis that, okay, one person will be presenting. After the person's presentation, we criticize the person's work and get feedback. You know, that will help you. That's the essence of attending conferences and going for workshops and the symposiums, so that by the time we come together in a kind of intellectual gathering like this, you hear another person's viewpoint, they criticize your work, you see other areas where you can also make your work to be much more robust in terms of your analysis, or some areas where you think you may even learn from another person presenting to see what you can apply in your own work too as well. So those are the few things I will share because of our time. So let's go to the next questions or other areas so that we can talk more about some of these things as we proceed.
Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Nathaniel. I think from what you said, I've just noted down the interdisciplinary aspect of the network. And I think sometimes can relate to that, to some of the fundings, because when I read some fundings, some sponsors, they always ask that you feel that is interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. So I think that's a good aspect that you've mentioned. And also the different perspectives that we can bring into each other work. So I think thanks. That's a very
and also I mentioned collaboration, networking.
And so the next question I am going to ask is, it's how we can help each other progress in our academic career. For example, you know, as a PhD, we have to do the progress panel, and also in terms of career opportunities, how we can help each other.
Okay, thank you very
much. Network can be beneficial in terms of two aspects.
Okay, thank you. So there are so many areas where you can support one another. For instance, in my uni, when we established the network, you know, we started organizing a kind of pre-upgrade, a kind of a mock upgrade. In our school, we call it, I think you call it, we call it upgrade, but I think you're using another terminology in your own school, a kind of transitory period from your year 1 to year 2. That kind of, so we call it upgrade, upgrading from like pre-PhD to PhD. That's how they refer to it. So like ordinance 12 to ordinance 32 or thereabout. So that's the level. But what I'm saying is, in that one, when somebody, or maybe one of the members is preparing to go for that kind of examination, so you can organize a kind of pre-viva. We do for Viva as well, because we organize what is called pre-viva as well for third year or fourth year students that are going for the Viva. So we select like 4 or 5 of us. We be in the room. The person will come, present to us, and then we bombard the person with questions. And then the person will respond to those questions, and then we'll give the person feedback. Okay, this, although with our little experience, because at that time, all of us, we've attained a level of expertise when it comes to research. There's things that you need, okay, even if you are not sure, quick, clarify this area for me. This one is not clear. This one is too shallow. This part's supposed not to be there. Your PowerPoint is too populated. Speak much more audibly. Your eye contact, some of the skills that they are looking for in your presentation. So, and these are some of transferable skills that you also can also gain from that as well. And as well, ensure a smooth ride for you when you now get to the actual examination or the actual upgrade, or the way you may call it in your school. So what I'm saying is it enhances your, as in preparation, coming together, giving each other feedback, encouraging each other, or you can do it. You know, sometimes, you know, PhD is a lonely journey. Sometimes you get stressed up. Sometimes you may even get to the point where you don't know what you are doing. You just wonder, am I doing the right thing? When I was doing my PhD, several instances that I would have written something. After reading it again, the thing will not make sense to me. I will delete it. And after a few weeks, I will now realize that, oh, this thing that I deleted the other time, this thing will be useful. So why? So that was when I started creating what I call dustbin. So as a folder on its own, so I'll just dump all those things there, because you don't know, all those things will still be useful. So just a kind of what you pick from this discussion, always create a kind of dustbin for your unused or some work that you think are not so, that you're not so convinced, or you don't have that clarity about at the initial stage. So another thing is that it will help you to get new ideas from people as well. For instance, if you are presenting and somebody is saying, oh, rather than looking at it this way, why can't you just, as in, slightly modify the scope, or look at it from another angle, or do a kind of mixed methodology analysis? You know, these are some of the ideas that you can get from people that will enhance your analysis as well. So, and for instance, in my school, we have lawyers, we have economists, and for my research, I did a kind of techno-economic analysis. So I need to work with people in engineering. So, because I need to go to the physics department, the engineering department, because of the electricity aspect of my work. So, and as a result, they supported me. And in fact, it was even better for me, because what these people will discuss with you in 2 hours, if you have to read a research, you have to read a textbooks, you may not be able to get it in 2 days. So they make the work faster, make it easier, share the experience with you, show you the pros and cons of different methodologies or approaches, so which make you have a kind of better understanding of what you are doing.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Nathaniel. I know we have to, as I know I'm being asked to translate everything that you said, but I think because we're running against time, I'm going to summarize in French and Russian for those of us who don't, just for the audience. But we will translate everything you said and provide to our members. So, Français Jonas, donc la première question, c'était de savoir comment ce network peut aider les gens. Alors, en répondant, il a dit que non, il y a l'aspect multidisciplinaire. Ça veut dire que comme nous tous, on on fait on est dans des différentes recherches, on peut s'aider dans cet aspect-là multidisciplinaire. Il a aussi dit que les différentes perspectives qu'on peut s'entraider. Voilà, ça c'est la première question. La deuxième question, il a dit que ça pourrait nous aider en nous encourageant à finir notre doctorat. Et aussi, ça peut aussi nous aider à nous apporter la clarité. Parce que des fois, tu peux écrire un projet, un article, toi-même, tu ne comprends pas bien, mais quelqu'un peut voir quelqu'un peut t'aider à clarifier cet aspect-là. Voilà, en bref. Now I'll say in Russian quickly for the other person in the audience, Gabriela. Мы задали один вопрос профессору. Мы спросили, как вот это наше собеседование может помочь нам на будущее. Он сказал, что есть такой мультидисциплинарный аспект нашего собеседования. То есть мы все работаем в разных сферах, и из-за этого мы можем помочь друг другу и понять друг друга. Это на первый вопрос, то, что он ответил. На второй вопрос, который мы его задали, как наша группа может помочь нам закончить нашу докторантуру. Он сказал, что мы можем друг друга задавать вопросы, если надо. Допустим, если ты что-то не понимаешь, да, тогда надо предоставить другому человеку, поскольку он может посмотреть с другой стороны, которой ты не видишь. Вот таким образом мы можем помочь другу. Вот. Thank you. That was just to summarize to the rest of the audience. And now let's attend the last question. And then after that, feel free to ask anyone who wants to attend any question. We can go ahead and ask question. But so the last question for Dr. Nathaniel is how I think we've already sort of talked about that. It was the benefits of this social networking and academic networking. It's more or less what we talked already. But if you can maybe add something about the benefits of this social and academic networking.
Okay, thank you very much. Just in addition to what we've discussed, also it will enhance your, as in you gaining some transferable skills when it comes to skills like teamwork, event planning, problem solving, public speaking, leadership. So these are some of the skills that you can also gain or garner from being part of this great network. And you can also be a platform to make opportunities available for other fellow brothers and sisters that will be on this platform. For instance, I'm working on a project and they need a translator or an interpreter. So I would definitely call on Mukele, if I'm sorry about if I didn't get the pronunciation right. So, but what I'm saying is I know somebody who's working on politics. I know somebody who's in the energy system. So that's another thing we can gain from. Another thing is sharing of experience. You know, there is a saying in my place which says, if you want to know the way ahead, you ask those that are coming back. You want to know what is ahead of you. For instance, we have PhD colleagues that are in year one. I've had somebody who is, I think Khadija, who is in year 3. So our experience will be useful for someone that is just joining. For people like Dami Ladipo that is about to start the program. So that will also help to guide her, to put her through in some areas that she will need a kind of the know-how of how to go around things, on how to get things done on a very smooth lane. So, for instance, the experience of people that have even done the upgrade, sorry, I'm referring to it as upgrade because that's what I know it to be. So they may even share their experiences and some of the things that they encountered in there so that others will not fall victim of the same thing or they will not make the same mistakes that those people made. That will help for them to avoid that kind of mistake. Another thing is that it will help to know each other's research very well. By the time you share your research with me, so I will have a clear understanding of what you are talking about, what your research entails, what are the things that you are considering. For instance, the person that mentioned the issue of robotics, the thing just clicked to me, oh, robotics. I just had the name, but I was just trying to picture, but I don't have the real understanding of what he's trying to do yet. So by the time we share our experience, I will know, okay, and that will even create a kind of platform for future insight. There are some things that people will give you feedback on your work that are outside the scope of what you are doing, but you may consider it for the next paper, or even if it is outside the scope, you can do it at the kind of further research, maybe post-PhD or later on when you get the funding. And also access to data. Some of us are maybe at the stage of a data collection, you know, that maybe you may need network in Angola, you may need network in Congo, but I have friends that are there. They can link me up. That, okay, I have a brother that is into maybe politics. I can easily refer you to this person that, oh, this is my person from Birmingham, that you can easily give that network to, or that opportunity. It will also enhance your CV. You know, being a member of this platform too is something you can put on your CV that, okay, this is, I've been part of this, we've done this, we are part of the founding members, and we can even provide recommendation for one another. For instance, the conveners or the people that are in charge, they know you, they know your impact, they know your contribution. They can say, okay, even simple things that are simple as in getting recommendation for your rent in this country is another thing that, okay, we can just say, okay, he's our man, we know him, he's someone of a good integrity. And these are simple areas where we can help one another. And also, another thing I will create is balancing work and life, as in work, life, and everything together is another opportunity. It's time to meet new friends, come together. You know, PhD sometimes can be, I don't know for you, but I know for all of us, it's usually because my PhD supervisor of blessed memory used to say it's called permanent head damage. Permanent head damage. That after your PhD, your life will not remain the same. That in fact, the way you are going to think, the way you be doing things, and you will think that after the PhD, you have the whole time to yourself. I finished my PhD in 2017, and I've been looking forward to that time that we have a night off to myself. But from one thing to another, from work, reading work for other colleagues, conferences, publications, here and there. So your head will just be thinking about so many things at the same time. So the journey may be lonely. It may be it may be somehow as in discouraging, but we need each other. While away time, gist, talk, encourage one another, support one another emotionally, psychologically, and in other areas we can. And the last thing, because of our time, I would just add is that you meet new people. You meet new people. You meet people in the sense that, you know, these people, the kind of academic environment that we're talking about, you don't know what areas that these people are very, very good at, or what their area of expertise. Some people are very good when it comes to methodology. And that's one of the key areas that people are struggling with, getting a kind of clarity of which kind of methodology to use. For instance, when I submitted my PhD proposal, I proposed something else, but when I got here, my supervisor introduced me to a particular project. And with that, I was able to see a kind of broader picture of other methodologies that could be used in that particular area. And when I presented to colleagues in our fortnight PhD seminar, that was when they now say, okay, you've done this. Another person has done something, although not completely related, but at least the person gave me insight of how they did that thing in their own country from the engineering perspective. Okay, I'm doing the economic aspect of it. So we shared ideas, and then, you know, the experienced people are bringing on board. You know, we have lecturers in our midst. We have people that are even professor to be, maybe from Congo, people that Andre and Jonas, and these are knowledgeable people. Jim is there, everybody, they're all there. So we can learn from one another. So those are the few things, because of our time, that I would like to share with us for now. So if there is any other thing.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Nathaniel. That was very, very interesting. You know, just to summarize, you've mentioned very, very good things there. You mentioned meeting new people. You mentioned transferable skills. You mentioned language skills, like multilingual here. We can always translate for each other. Why not to translate the papers? Because some of the problem in academia is we tend to work in our own language, you know, somehow, you know, like we have to here to kind of share or access knowledge from Francophone or Lusophone, Russian. So I think that's very, very good point. You've also mentioned one thing like recommending each other, because we work together, we know how we work, so that's a very good thing. And yeah, it was me summarizing. So I'll do the summary again for our audience. But I'll do it in Russian only, because Jonas said he can understand Russian, so that's good. I don't have to do French and Russian. I'll just do it in Russian for Gabriel and Jonas. Okay? То есть профессор, он только что сказал про... Мы задали вопрос, да, как вот эта наша группа может помочь нам в академической сфере. Вот, он дал некоторые пункты, которые я буду сейчас сказать вам, да. Он назвал первый пункт, чтобы найти новых коллег, вот, если новых коллег по работе. Второй, он сказал, что пока мы будем вместе работать, если, допустим, один из нас хочет подать на какой-нибудь грант, проект, мы можем дать рекомендации. Рекомендации мы можем дать. Вот это тоже очень важно, то, что мы можем друг другу помочь. А второй он назвал языки, потому что у нас, допустим, Габриэль знает португальский, возможно, он хочет переводить его статью там, на английском языке, допустим, Жонас знает французский, он хочет переводить статью на английском, а мы здесь есть для того, чтобы помочь. Так что вот это один тоже важный момент. И последний он сказал, для тех, которые, как я, допустим, как Габриэль, которые еще делают докторантуру. То есть мы можем задать тоже вопросы, те, которые в старших классах, если нужна помощь. That was everything. Just to summarize what Dr. Nathaniel has said for our audience. So I will ask Augustine to continue, and he's going to do the last part, which is to just round up and give us some concluding remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been an interesting day. Thank you, Dr. Nat. Thank you, everyone present. Before we go, we just need to talk about the future of this network and how we want to implement part of the suggestions that has been raised so that this network can actually serve the function. So I will share my screen now, and there is some things I want to show. As we have discussed that the network will soon be registered as part of student group within the university so that it can actually have the official grounds, because the University of Birmingham has a framework for student group, and also they have staff with the students group, and we have contacted the student group or the administrators or people in charge, and they said that what the research group is introducing is something new that does not exist. So it talks about the registration is going to take place. So that should give some people who begin to think maybe it's something that does not have a ground or a basis. We have shared this Google document in which we have been able to talk about what we have in mind and all this, but the Google document is still available for suggestion. So this is like a rough sheet for members and to type whatever they want to type, suggestions and ideas, before we move it to the website and also include it. And I also want to share this, that part of the ways in which we can increase our visibility is to use this platform called Humanity Commons. And if you don't need to be a scholar in humanities, but you can just check this link and open it, just register. And when you register, you'll be able to have access to this website and also create your own web page, and also have access to other places where we can also make our research and whatever we do visible. So I will enjoin us to all register for this Humanity Common and connect with this African Research Network. And on the website, we are trying to also compile, as we are coming in as members, we begin to write our names, and if we are interested in having a profile, we create a link in which from each person's name, we can be able to open the person's profile, and many other people can be able to contact the person and do more collaboration. Then the next part is this LinkedIn, which we'll plead with you, because the LinkedIn is also necessary for members to actually be part of it. We currently have 6 members already connected to the research network. So you can easily search for or connect with any of us on LinkedIn, and then we'll just link you up with that. And we can continue our conversation and activities. And then we have the Facebook page too. And Facebook may not be academic, but it may be social. But there are some things we do that we just want to share, because we are also, as academians, we are also social beings too, and we have those frameworks. So that ends the sharing of what we actually intend to do before we open the floor for last discussion as round up. 3 things importantly, I will just list that we are going to create a Google form which we're going to send to members. If you have projects that you actually want to share with the house, so you'll be able to pick the month and write a summary of the project and the bio and the time it's going to take. and then we're going to do the publicity. And as Dr. Nat and Mukili has also said that, and Dr. Achibong too, a lot of people will come to have input. And also, if you want to invite some giants in your field, who you want, that you can write all those proposals, and those are the things. So the email, I think the email to the network, in which all of us as part of the network can also have access, and then whatever we have that is public goes to the Google document, because we won't put some things that are for internal members on the website. So the Google document, we all have access to it, to be able to, we have sent a link to the Google document. We all have access to that to be able to write whatever I want to write at any point in time. And for 2020, 2021, we already have part of members who already have conferences they want to organize. It could be online, it could be physical. And then you want the inputs of any member, or you want collaboration or whatever, you can send that to us against the next meeting, because the next meeting we want to have is to actually go into research. Either we have someone's presentation, or we have a proposal for conferences that have already been collated, and how we can go about that. So that's just a summary of what we intend to do and what we also expect from those who are already on this platform. It's good that we are few, because it's good to be few at the beginning to be able to set a good foundation. And we will plead, because most of what we are doing, this is not an association that we're going to have president, vice president, secretary. Those things are distractions. It's not, it's a network, it's purely research. So whatever we do is purely service to the group. So if you're good in editor, like those linguistic, you can volunteer and write, I want to be part of the editorial, so that we can send newsletter for whatever we have come up with, like this post-COVID discussion we have had. We have to summarize it, we will sit down, and if someone, and number two, we need publicity. We're good in publicity, and if you're good in staff consultants that you can give advice and also help us to increase our grants in various universities, is also very good, and we appreciate that. So that being said, I hand over everything to Mukile and everyone to raise up their hand if you have suggestion as we round up this session, and Mukile do the rest. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Augustine, for your summary. I don't. You've said correctly that we see ourselves as researchers and as partner, and so we share. And for example, sorry, I'm willing in this network to, because languages is my field. So I'm quite happy we are. Right now, we represent like 4 languages, 4 European languages, if I'm only mentioning European languages. So that's Portuguese, Russian, French, English. So, and I'm quite happy to help anyone to translate the documents in any language that I'm able to work on, and that's free. That's just one of the benefits of having this platform. And yeah, and we are really happy to have you here, and we hope that you're going to be able to join us and support and work for, and we're going to be able to work for each other. You know, I don't have much to say other than maybe some participants who didn't speak or want to share anything, or their thoughts. I don't know. I'll give, you know, anyone who wants to share their thoughts about after this meeting, feel free. Or anyone who wants to maybe share something. I don't know. Just feel free.
Okay, Nathaniel has raised his hand.
Okay, so I didn't see that. Yeah.
So just while questions and contribution are still coming, I just have a few things that I put down that I would like to add as well. That, for instance, you can have a kind of fortnight gathering where people will come and then share their ongoing project with you. It may not be the entire project. It may be a chapter of their work. It can be a kind of field experience. It can be a kind of topical area that is general, that is common. Maybe it's just about methodology, it's all about what PhD is all about, because PhD is all about contribution to knowledge. And also, there are some to also help to correct some erroneous belief about Africa, some wrong perception, some wrong notions about what Africa is all about. So by the time they see our research output, our contribution, that will help. For instance, I was part of a committee of recent, and we were analyzing a student project, and the student was working on, PhD student was working on these commercial activities in Africa, these online trading and all those things. And the student was talking about a return policy. And one of the panels was saying that, one of the members said that, that wasn't a kind of research area. And I need to step in that. In Africa, that's a major issue. You buy something and you return after 18 days. Is it obtainable in any Africa as you have here? So all these disparities in our way of thinking or how they feel as in generalized things, it will help to correct some of these things in any area I find ourselves. So the second thing I would like to add also is that sometimes some opportunities will come up. For instance, there is a conference anywhere which is all about politics. You can post it, and then people that are in politics, if they're interested, fine. If you can apply together for grants, if you have the time anyway because of your PhD commitment. And the last one I would like to add is that this network, it will go beyond your PhD level. It's a life kind of connection. After leaving Birmingham, in future, you can just remember that, oh, I have something to go and do in Angola. So I have a friend there. So please, I'm coming, prepare grant for me. So, these are some of it. It goes beyond now. I want us to have that kind of futuristic thinking about this network. It will go a long way. And this is somebody you've trusted, you've worked with, you know the person. So you can be able to vouch for that person, that I know this person. So that's just a few things I just wanted to ask. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Nathaniel. Thank you so much. That was very very good idea to hear from you. Thanks so much. So it's something that doesn't stay here. It's something that we have to think about the future as well. So we can be future collaborators. So that's a very important point. I don't know if anyone else wants. We still have 10 minutes. Maybe any comments. Okay. You can feel free to write in the chat. You can write your thought in the chat, or okay, feel free to speak. We still have 10 minutes.
Okay, I just want to chip in again as based on a question that someone has actually asked privately with regards to membership and who we are. Even though the conveners are currently at the University of Birmingham, the goal transcends beyond University of Birmingham. And as we know that research in whether on Africa or by Africans, we also know that it's two sides. We need people already. We are here in Birmingham, but we also have one leg here, one leg at home. And that's something very unique. And now we see that it's not just a university constraint. Number two is also to mention it's not solely students, right? It's not just students alone. It's not just a PhD, and that's why we use the word researcher or any other thing. And that's part of the broad view we actually have in mind. I don't know where Dr. Achibong would mind saying something. Dr. Achibong of University of Birmingham.
Thank you. I think by way of saying everyone has covered so much, and I think that it is good that you clarify that point, because there are people from outside of Birmingham in here, and I think we should look at this in a broader perspective. You may be registered internally in the University of Birmingham student body, but you should look at it in a more broad sense. We have Dami is thinking of going to Cambridge in September. We have Dr. Nathaniel, who is from Dundee. So if you look at this as a wider, non-African based research network, then we could leverage on so many opportunities. I have many academics who probably would like to come on board this kind of stuff. But if we make it student-centric, it might be a bit discouraging for them. And also, like what everyone has mentioned, in your research, you should really talk to each other. You can never know, the skill set, the other person has that can be very useful to you. you know. And when Dr. Nathaniel mentioned about people talking to people who are ahead of them in their PhDs, it is very, very good. But also doubly good is the fact that you should also talk to people who have graduated from your supervisor, especially if you're a new PhD student. So different supervisors have different ways of doing things, you know, different supervision styles, you know, what they expect from students. So if you talk to people who have passed through that particular supervisor, then you stand a better chance of, you know, knowing the person better and then, you know, forming a good relationship. A huge part of the PhD is managing your supervisor. It is a huge part. You might be, when I was doing my PhD 5 years, when I finished 5 years ago, one of the smartest person I know did not graduate. And it wasn't because he wasn't smart. He was very, very smart. I would say way smarter than I was, but he didn't know how to manage his supervisor, you know, and they were loggerheads. So these are one of the things you really should know, you know. And you should also, I mean, most of you are in Europe, so you should also stand up for yourself, you know. I know in Africa, we try to be a lot subservient and the rest of the thing, you know, but you should learn to stand up for yourself. If you don't, then you can be, you know, reading over. So you should learn to stand for yourself and learn to say no, you know, when it is necessary. That's just all I have to say. And for your PhD in terms of writing, I would like that if you can adopt a style where each chapter represents a journal paper, you know, I think that helps a lot, you know. So like try to frame it in such a way that each chapter you are writing is solving a problem, and then you can easily translate that into a publication. You know, that's one way to look at it. And if you feel like maybe you are sensing some conflict with your supervisor, one way that can cement you is if you get published. So if you get published, you know, that means you've been peer reviewed by people outside of even your university, you know, then it becomes difficult for anybody to play any tricks, you know, on whatever you are doing. You know. So these are some of the measures that you can use to guard yourself against any kind of issues. And for different universities, there are equality, inclusion, and diversity departments and sections. So if you feel like, you know, there are any problems, or you feel like what Dr. Nathaniel mentioned about someone disparaging a research on returns, you know, that is an inclusion issue, you know. It's a diversity issue because the person is not really seeing the perspective in a global sense, you know. So if you have those kind of issues, you could raise it with EDI leads and heads in different schools, you know. I think there are people responsible for those kind of things. And also take your welfare very seriously, you know. Have fun, seriously, it's important. There will be no time like now, you know. Have fun, lots of it, you know. After this, you will have lots of trouble to worry about. So don't relegate that. You know. When you are doing simulation like in engineering, you find that you get stuck many times, and it's something very minute, but because you are stuck in front of the computer for hours, you can't see it until you leave that place, come back maybe the following day or in a couple of hours time. That is when you see where the mistakes are. So that's just all I have for now, and hopefully we get to share tips and tricks on how to navigate it. And if you have time, do volunteer, especially with teaching assistantships. You can never know where it will take you. It boosts your CV a lot. Then if you have the opportunity, also sign up for the postgraduate, if you have a teaching institute in your school, you know, where they teach pedagogy, education pedagogy, you know, so sign up for those kind of things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to add some from what you've said. That I just want to say that we they talking about position, you know, because when I remember when I started my PhD, because I do mostly feminist issues, and as you can see, I am a man. So and my supervisor, there are two women. They were telling me like you have to acknowledge that you are speaking from a man's position, and for me it was something new because I was like, okay, and then after it's only after 6 into my PhD then I realized that yes, sometimes our position matters, you know, because and I know when I go to conferences and it tends to be women conferences on women issues, and I'll be like there 1, 2, 3 men presenting, And yes, I do acknowledge that. I just speak for a man's position because it does have something on your impact, your reach, one word.
Yeah,
so I think this is something that gives us a different position, and that's good. That's a way you challenge yourself because we have African, like my colleague Augustine say. I'm African. I lived in the UK for 15 years now, but so we have two legs, home and here, and we have scholars who are Africa-based. So it's really good. You have different positions. We are speaking from different positions, and that's really helpful. And it did help in my case to understand, to realize that okay, the way you see things might be the way the others see. So when you have that person next to you who can challenge you, and that your research became solid. So I think that's the thing that I wanted to add. I don't know if anyone else got something. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And keeping to the time, since we don't have any other person putting hands up, so we send mail for the correspondence, follow up, and then we enjoin you to circulate to other people who are also interested. And thank you for coming. Thank you for Dr. Nat from University of Dundee. And we know you are one of us, and you are part of us, and we are all part of the same, in search of the same goal. So we continue on offline, and we encourage people to send all the details that we'll compile and send across. Thanks for coming. Thanks, my colleague Mukle, and thanks everybody. We hope to see you again. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Kasungu, Professor Kasungu.
Just 1 second.
Swapping between languages.
Yes. It wasn't. It wasn't easy. So I said I was just giving summaries, and and I said that because it is recorded, we can always come back and provide a good summary, because it's to do on the sports, it can be really tough. Yeah, but yeah, it was good. I think
the conversation. I think the network, like Sergey, the computer science guy, he says network problem and all this. Khadija?
Yes, yeah.
On.
Okay, I think this one is being recorded, so maybe if you stop this recording,